Hi everyone, Kerry from Kerry's Reborn Baby Loves here this morning on a cool Queensland morning. Well, it is here at home. Welcome, happy to have you join me. Today we are also being joined by baby Isaac, who is, yes, a little silicone. If you are new to my channel, welcome and thank you for subscribing. If you haven't yet, get over there and subscribe, come on. So, Isaac is 16 inches, full-bodied silicone baby boy. We have got him covered up due to, rules and laws and all that stuff. So we going to put a nappy on him. It's actually, my daughter-in-law bought me some little Peter Rabbit face washes. I don't know whether you can see him there, Peter Rabbit. Yep. So we're using that as a nappy today because he's only 16 inches and a proper size toweling nappy is just way too big. So we'll put his nappy on to start with. We're going to have a little chat about silicone babies, how I actually care for mine, not necessarily saying that you have to do what I say and all that jive, but just a little bit of a guideline, if that makes sense. Now, the face washes probably could be a bit bigger, but in saying that, whoops, better get that middle bit too. In saying that, we'll just make things fit, hey. The actual proper toweling nappy that babies wear is way too big. And as you can see, he's a very good boy sleeping through it all. So we've got our nappy, oh, that pin in there. We've got our nappy on. Now, as you can see, I have got it folded in a few ways, so it hasn't got the pin touching the silicone at all. And I don't know whether you could hear the little noises, but somebody else is joining us. One of them days, everyone. Playing hide-and-go-seek. So, as you can gather, who's never too far away from his brother is... Can we take it off? Isaac's brother, Jethro. Say hi. Well, if you could speak giraffe, you would have heard him say right then, hi everybody. He's never too far away from Isaac. So we'll just take this towel off because Isaac had his little bath this morning. Now, when I say bath, he got rinsed off with water because we got clean bedding on. In his bed, not on his bed. Again, so we're going to change you, dress you, I should say, put you in something a little bit warmer this morning, being a little bit cooler. And we're going to talk about silicone babies, silicone baby dolls. Now, this is just me, what I do. So, to each his own. Now, as you can see here, I'm putting little mittens on his hands. You will, if you follow other silicone YouTubers, how to care for your silicones with other people, you will see a lot of people put mittens on their little hands to protect their fingers and hands when dressing. And now also, if you have been watching me, you will notice that I don't do that. And I probably should. So, for the sake of caring for your silicone babies today, we're going to do that. So, the first thing I thought I'd probably talk about, I can't think of too many things, but the terms used with silicones and even reborns, a lot of them are similar, but simple thing like partial silicones, partial vinyls are... They have a cloth body. If you had seen me changing Liliana and Benjamin, they have a cloth body and limbs. This little guy is actually a full body because he has his tummy and his back and his bottom and, private parts. So he is actually a full body and his head is attached. So he was poured all in one piece, come out of the mould just as he is. So that is the first thing we're going to talk about. Second thing, we can't show you with Isaac, but Armatures. I have got my other baby, which I'll show you shortly after we've dressed this little man. Armatures, obviously to do with the arms. It's actually a wiry, I don't know whether it's actually, what sort of wire it is actually, because I haven't actually seen it outside of the baby, but it lets you pose the baby. So if you bent their arm that way, their arm would stay that way, and similar things like that. But I'll show you on my other bubby here shortly after I do Isaak. The EcoFlex, you would hear people talk about when they're selling babies, when they're talking about babies. Isaak is EcoFlex 20. Now that is regarding the softness and the actual mix, silicone mix that he is poured in. He's an EcoFlex 20. Now, in saying that, like, he's not a newer sculpt, so I don't think I mentioned. If you've watched me previously, you'll know that Isaak is the beautiful sculpt by Sherry Bowden. He's the Aaron sculpt, 16 inches, obviously. So he's done in 20. There are newer sculpts out that are called the Marshmallows EcoFlex 20, 30, whatever, and they have the marshmallow effect, which is very, very soft. Feels beautiful to touch, but in saying that, I personally wouldn't have one because I like the hands-on dressing, changing their outfits and cuddling with, whereas my personal opinion, of course, don't have to do it or take what I say, is it's just a bit too soft to be handling. If you're a collector, of course, you know, changing every now and again, it's not going to harm it one bit as long as you're gentle. But I'm a more hands-on person, so the marshmallow I don't think is for me. So 20 is perfect, which he is. You can get 30, which is a little bit firmer, but in saying that, also the mixes that people use today, which is the silicone mix itself, is getting softer and softer. So obviously it's all a personal choice also. You would have also probably heard, or may not have, the term dragon skin silicone. It's actually quite a firm mix. Like, to do that, you wouldn't be pressing down. It'd be pretty firm, but it would be awesome if you're a really hands-on person with your babies, because it would be more durable, I guess, for you, changing and things like that. They're firmer. Like, obviously a vinyl baby is firm when you're dressing them. Yeah, so if you're a hands-on person, the dragon skin or the EcoFlex 30, I mean, years ago they used to have higher numbers, but, you know, things have changed so much today that, you know, it's pretty hard to keep up with. And we haven't dressed you any further, have we, Isaac? So he is, as I said, the Aaron Sculpt, which is the name given to his design. And obviously the sculptor was Sherry Bowden. I just think he's absolutely perfect. He is, as I said, full body, and as you can see, he does have private parts. Just getting his powder. Now, I have had someone remark before, you know, you shouldn't be using powder, which is another thing for caring for your babies. In this, it would have the remains of the Johnson's powder, baby powder. Hey, did put them stickers there. We'll just take them off. Oh, well, you can't see anyway, can you? Well, it is Johnson's baby powder bottle, but it does have the actual matting powder mixed in with it. So it's not just straight Johnson's baby powder for anyone that's horrified, because apparently that's a big no-no, even though I do love the smell of it. There's nothing wrong with adding it to their clothing, a bit on their nappy or whatever, as far as I'm concerned anyway. Am I sending you to sleep, Jethro? Oh, dear me. All right. Well, you just have a little rest there and just talk to your brother. All right. Hey, we'll see if Auntie Suzanne's watching. Oh, you get really excited when he talks about Auntie Suzanne. Yes, I know. All right. People can't hear you. If you can talk giraffe, you can hear him. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Now, where have I put... Oh, excuse me. We do have our clothes here. I'm going to put a hat on. As I said, it's cooled down a little bit. So we're going to put something a bit warmer on. Little booties and a hat in his little outfit. What was the last thing? I suppose a lot of people say, obviously, he's a full body, so you can immerse him in water. There's a lot of debate about bathing your babies and such. When you first get the babies, or even while they're painted, you do wash them, because you have to wash the silicone matting powder or whatever off after sealing them and matting them. It's just part of the process. Excuse my big arm there. As in bathing them with face washer, soap and such like that, yeah, don't do it, because it's not actually made for the silicone. When you're washing them after cleaning up, look, we're being good, they're actually washed in washing up detergent. You can choose whichever one, but I probably would not use the ones that have the essential oils and all that sort of thing in for your skin. Put his arm through there, push his arm up. Yeah, it's just, there's so many additives nowadays that it's hard to keep a good knowledge of everything that's in them, unless you're one of these sticklers for reading, which I'm not, I must admit. But I just use my normal Palmolive washing up detergent when I'm washing off the matting powder. Now, when I'm saying that, I don't mean when your baby's shiny, you can add a bit of the matting powder and it takes the shine away. I'm talking about once I've painted the silicone layer on and matted, then you wash the excess matting powder off. And that is what I'm referring to. So please don't get me confused. If you have any questions about anything that I'm rattling on about, just leave a comment below and I'll see if I can answer. I may not even be able to. So just do that. Now, I'm just doing up these little clips, 1,000,001 little poppers. So, yep, the bathing is really just rinsing them off, getting rid of any dust or little fibres, hair, etc. that they may get on them. Isaac's pretty right. The nursery is always closed up. If it's hot, I always put the fan on in here, like when I'm in here. It's good room in the afternoon, so the morning sun comes through in the morning. Fancy that. So, yeah, that's that part. We'll take your little mittens off. And doing the hands, like they're all different. Oops, my finger's stuck in that then. Because his hands on this side, his fingers, I beg your pardon, are all separate. So when changing him, you have to make sure that they're not bent over when putting sleeves, etc. on. Same with the feet. When they're long clothes are being putting on them, normally put socks on them anyway, and I always do that first anyway. It's just habit. So yeah, that's that part. I would never recommend using tight clothing. If it's firm on your bubba, then you probably shouldn't put it on them, because you're going to have to be scrunching up the arms, hands, feet, etc. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend firm. Another thing I wouldn't recommend is dark colouring, but I don't use dark colouring on my vinyl babies either. So if you do have to, perhaps put, for instance, a white onesie underneath, or romper, long sleeve, long legs, whatever clothing you're putting on. So the actual colour is not touching the actual body, etc. of your baby doll. I don't particularly like dark colours on bubbies, so it's just a personal thing, I guess. So we'll just put a little bit of the powder on your little brush, put it on your feet. I'm just using one of these. So we'll just put on one booty. Was it these? Oh no, wrong booties, because I think I've done this before. They've been made and the top bit is too tight to spread out. It's really, there's no give in it. So I'm not going to put them on his feet because I have to scrunch his feet up. I'm just going to get some sockies. Oh no, I've got some white booties. Hey, this is deja vu. Nope. Ribbon come out. Barnacles. I'll just undo this, put your sockies on. Looks like Mummy's got to put the ribbon through your booties again today, little man. So as you can see, they're a little bit big. We have trouble getting tiny sockies, don't we? Your sister Liliana's just an inch or so bigger than him, so we have the same problem with her as well. Just undo this clip as well. So these socks, there's plenty of give in, as most socks do have. So we didn't put powder on that foot, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So the next thing is hair. Obviously, Isaac does not have any. So I do have, which you'll see shortly, my other girl that, if you go back to probably one of my first recordings, you'll see a box opening of my KERRY'S sculpt. She is a girl, obviously. She is a full body and she has hair. So we'll just pretend Isaac has hair. With the hair obviously being a full body, all this inside his head is silicone. As you can see me pressing there, it's nice and soft. So it can't be sealed on the inside like your vinyl babies. So the hair is actually rooted in and just stays there. So if your hair is coming out really easy, perhaps the person who's done it hasn't done it quite deep enough, and that's the only way really to make sure that it doesn't come out really easy. And obviously the correct way, which is the shaft of the hair has to be facing the right way as it goes in, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So I will probably eventually get hair on Isaac, but you know, I've discussed this before and you're saying, yeah, you've said that before. Shame on you, you shouldn't be saying that. So we're probably going to just put your little hat on for a minute, and we're going to, oops, oh, this silly hat, it's double layered. We're going to bring up the other one that I've got here. I'm just fixing this hat up. It's double layered. That's what the problem was. We'll make sure you cover your whole head. And don't you look so cute? Yeah, so we'll discuss the other things with the other baby, which I can show. But we can actually, as you can see, he has an open mouth. He does take a pacifier. He doesn't have a tongue, which a lot of the babies do have tongues nowadays, which is pretty awesome. He's just got the actual hole. So what we're going to do is, I have mentioned before, and I've never had one here, I've got a dummy for him. It's a Nuck brand. It's a 0 to 2 month, which is really lovely and small. I don't know whether you can see that there. which is perfect size for him. I only have these sorts, this sizing I should say, for my silicones. Another thing I'd like to mention too, when using your dummy for your silicone bub, a silicone teat is preferable, not your latex versions of your, the brownie coloured ones. The silicone works with silicone. Latex isn't recommended. The chemical formulations of the actual baby itself and the actual dummy aren't recommended. I haven't actually seen or heard of anything that's been done or said, but they recommend not to use them. So hey, we don't. So with him, we just open his chin up a bit, whether you can see it going in his mouth there. There we go. And now if it's going to have to be forced, I have to make sure I'm putting it in the right place. If it's going to be forced, don't do it, because it's obviously too big. It's just sitting there and we're not forcing it. He may not want it. So that's what that part is. I do have some don't things to do, that's for sure. But obviously, if you have any queries, leave it down below. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him into his bed. So just over here, put him in. Now, for this part, yes, Jethro, you're going to have to just watch yourself there. We don't want you. Now, this is, oops, if you've gone back and had a look at all or followed me, you'll know this one here. Now, word of warning, she doesn't have a head on. So if that's going to upset you, then probably stop watching. But this is Angelique. She was my first video that you will see. Now, as you can see, she does not have a head on. This is the bit that her head sits on. This is what it is. Now, she isn't completed as yet. I am still painting her. So you will see her being very shiny. That's because she hasn't been matted, which I'm not going to do until she's finished. I've finished painting her. But, what you can see, I have done her veining and done her bottom layer. So this is what the head sits on. Connects over to the top, which we're not going to do until, she's not finished painted yet. So it comes right down to here. So you will see this little gap here bit, and it holds the head on. So she is a full body, obviously, as you can see. We're covering up private bits. We've got a paper nappy on at the moment. So she's a full body, full limbed, obviously. I do have a couple partials, which I will share with you one day when I get them out and have them painted. Partial is obviously the cloth body. So this is Angelique. She's actually a newborn size bubby. And you'll see I have they use these puppy pea pads for painting. This plasticky side doesn't leave as much fluff, etc., as to what this side here does. So that's why she's on that, and that's what we have her on while we're painting. She also has separate fingers. She does have armatures. Now, I'm not a lover of armatures. I don't think the idea, this is just my personal opinion, I don't think the idea of having anything metal or wire-like, as I said, I have not seen what they actually look like, but it feels like wire. I mean, to be able to bend them and that. So she does have armatures only in her arms. You do get some that do have in her legs, but she doesn't. And that is, as you can see, the crease in her arm there, her elbow. What we're going to do is we're going to bend it, and her arm should stay like that. So now, when I did that, I held both bits to make sure that we got it right. So now her hand, her arm, I beg your pardon, is staying in that position. It's mainly a posing thing, I guess. It doesn't bother me. I would prefer her without them, but you know, it's neither here nor there now because she has them in her. So just going to very gently push. Now it doesn't go right into the hand, it comes up to the wrist, the actual armature. So we're going to push gently. Now that other arm's there. So as I said, it's a personal thing, so you know, whatever you want and whatever you can afford. Normally Armatures puts the price up, which is another thing I guess we can discuss is pricing. Obviously she was sent to me already painted by a lovely friend of mine. She did need a touch up, so this is why she's in pieces at the moment, because I'm touching her up. The kit I actually bought unpainted, which is just the doll itself unpainted, and then I actually saved up and sent her on to my friend for painting. She did come from overseas, so it was a little bit more expensive. Would be more now, of course, with postage, but you can be looking up to anywhere up to nearly $2,000 for just the kit itself. Now that's not just saying, that's a roundabout figure, because different sculptors, different mixers, the different parts, whether it's partial or full body, you know, that all plays all into the price of it all. So we'll just get rid of this. She is actually a newborn size. She looks a lot bigger than Isaak, obviously. So we'll get her head and show you. I'll just put her on the Duchess here. Now, lovely lady put more hair in for her. Her face is actually done. Her head, I beg your pardon. We just need to get eyelashes. So if you remember, this is Angelique. She has beautiful hair. I've just put the plastic wrap on to help keep it protected. It's done absolutely beautifully, and she has wavy hair. My first child actually had really thick hair, and I just love bubbies with hair. So personal choice. So she's waiting for her body to be done. Then we're going to do lashes, etc., and she'll be done. As you can see, she's also open mouth. She has a tongue, but it just sits in here. This is her gum. Obviously, you can see that there. She's absolutely beautiful. She is, as I said, the KERRY'S sculpt by Tatiana Burden. Now, what I kept her head in here to show you was, because her head sits on top of the little stump of the body, this is what it looks like inside. Whether you can see properly in there. Now, if this was a vinyl, you would see the dark shading of hair. I'll just pull it open a little bit. This, you can't seal the hair unless you used a monstrous needle and, gosh, went through about, you know, that much silicone. You may possibly be able to, but you can't. So this is why we're incredibly gentle. You can see anything in there. It's just the color of this silicone on the inside. So it is solid to probably about that much. And then the rest got the hole there, so her head actually can sit on that little stump. I don't know what it's called, but we're calling it a stump, aren't we? Yeah. So nothing in there, just a hole. It's terrible lighting, isn't it? Sorry about that. You see, there's nothing in there. You can't see any hair. So we've got to be very gentle with the hair. In saying that, if you do have a bubby with hair, they recommend not using too many hats or clips and things, and being incredibly gentle, brushing the hair. We do see there's a lot of people that use toothbrushes. There's a lot of, what are they, those bamboo ones at the moment are a big hit with people for brushing their hair. So I actually do use a baby brush because it's very soft. It's just my personal choice what I use. There's no do's and don'ts with it just pretty much comes down to being how gentle you are, I think. Obviously, you're not going to be using something that's like a wire brush or one that you use for adults. But yeah, so this is her head. She will be shown to you again one day in one piece. And that is her. So we're just going to put it back over here. Maybe we need this. Whoops. So yeah, I probably would not use clips. You know, those ones that, not the actual flat clips, the clips I'm talking about for her hair, their hair, is it's a bit rough. You know, you pin it together and it opens up to release it. That's the sort of clips I'm talking about. I've just dropped my list down here. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, I think they're a bit rough for the hair, and hats, you know, rubbing on the head, depending on how tight they are on their head, every now and again would be fine, I'm pretty sure. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention, we bring the body back, and I've seen it a lot. I've never done it because a friend of mine who actually painted Isaak showed me when I first got him. When changing your silicone, you see a lot of people do it. When we change normal baby, so you can see, people pick them up, put the feet together and lift their backside up. Never ever recommend doing that, because what that does, the strain, because this is just a chunk of silicone here, it actually tears behind the knee. We've all seen, if you're into silicone babies that is, we've all seen ones that have been torn and have to be mended behind the knee. And that's what happens. So when changing your silicone bub, I always do lift up the bottom like that. So you're just supporting that part, no pressure, no pulling on the legs at all. The that bit there stays intact. So that was just one thing that I make sure we remember to do that, because it's just habit when we've got newborn babies, real babies I'm talking about. We lift them up by the feet and change their backside, and that's all the rest of it. So yeah, don't pull that. Just a hint. Don't have to do what I say or do. Just yeah, that's just a little hint that I've been shared with. Also, I was watching a lady the other day. She had bathed her baby and she got a cotton bud into the joints, creases, and, you know, dabbed along. That's personal choice, of course. I personally wouldn't use them because depending on the quality, brand, etc. of the cotton buds you use, we all know that they've got a sharp bit inside. Well, when it's jabbed at you without the cotton wool on the end, it's sharp. So I probably wouldn't use that. You could also always fold over, this is tissue paper, obviously you can hear, a towel, and go in the creases, you know, like that. But yeah, I would not use cotton buds, my personal choice. And obviously the soap thing, we already talked about that. There's also, if you're looking for a silicone baby, I recommend asking around, because you're more than likely in a Facebook group of whichever choice you have, vinyl, silicones, whichever. Ask around. You will see in certain groups, become a member, see some genuine babies from sculptors that you hear about. If you're unsure, ask. Put it down in a group there and say, hey, have you ever bought a baby from so-and-so? What's their work like, etc., etc. It saves your money in the long run. The pricing is also a dead giveaway, as into the quality and being a genuine sculpt. And when I say genuine, I mean from the actual sculptor themselves. There are people out there that do make their own babies from someone else's sculpt, which is obviously stolen. So we don't really want to be supporting that, because if you do that, the sculptors aren't actually selling themselves, so they're not going to be around. And so we want to be able to support the genuine sculptors wherever you are, really. I mean, they're everywhere over the world. So obviously I'm Australian, so we've got lovely people in Australia who are very talented. So yeah, that was just a touch on that base. Pricing, if they're really cheap, you cannot get a full body silicone baby for $100. If you do, you're not getting something like this. You're getting a knockoff, which is the stolen sculpt, made from obviously different mixtures, because you cannot make something like this for that price, because it's not the genuine what do you call this, the mix, you know, the Ecoflex 20s, etc., that I was talking about before. It's made with a cheaper version, which is not the genuine article, if you can understand what I'm talking about. I think we've all had a little look in, if you're following, looking for a baby, you're going to be looking on, obviously, they do have genuine products sold on eBay, genuine dolls. You will also come across hundreds and thousands of ones from China. Now, it's not that I'm having a shot at all of Chinese people, etc., because they're not all the same, of course. But China has been well known for stealing the sculpt and producing their own and trying to flog it off as the actual original article, which it is not. They also have in the name, don't be fooled by vinyl silicone, soft silicone vinyl. It's not real. It's not a silicone baby, because silicone and vinyl do not mix. They do not mix at all. So it's just not a chemical reaction happening there, you know. The vinyl silicone is maybe a soft vinyl. It feels like silicone possibly, but it is not a silicone doll. There's no such thing, because it's just not compatible together. I know that I have a baby, she's a full body vinyl doll who is incredibly soft. She is just beautiful. It's a Jenny DeLange sculpt, which I have to paint. She was my first reborn doll, actually, and she is just so soft. It's just, I haven't felt any other soft baby vinyl like it. So I can understand when someone says feels like silicone, but it's not. With the two mixtures, they just do not go. They're not compatible. So I've talked your leg off. Jethro, you look really surprised. Oh, you're in a daze. You're daydreaming. Okay, good for you. So anyway, I hope you stuck with me to the end. If not, don't blame you in some parts. So we're going to go. Hopefully, if you had any questions, that I've answered them. If not, you know, I may not know even. Just ask and we'll soon see. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully we'll get to see you soon. We've been a little bit busy lately, so we're going to hopefully be on more. If you've got any questions, hit me up. If you have not liked and subscribed, do it. Do it now. Now. On that note, catch you next time, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Bye.